If it has a score, we cover it more. From football to lacrosse, hockey to baseball, we've got what you want. Welcome to the Rod Pedersen Show.
Good morning, Canada. Welcome inside to a Football Friday here in the Rod Pedersen Show. And a hearty hello to Canadian sports fans around the world. We got a full bunker. We got a full studio here today. Our second program of 2020. I am the host, Rod Pedersen. He's the co-host, Darren Dupont. How you doing, Dupes?
Hey, good morning. Doing well.
I got a new one for you. We're a team. Like, I'm X, he's O.
X's and O's?
X's and O's. How do you like
Hugs
that?
and kisses?
Hugs and kisses, however you want to say it. Yep. A lot of love floating around in the bunker here today. And John Frenzy is in the bunker as well, Hall of Fame writer, broadcaster. How you doing, John?
I'm doing great.
Good. You guys ready to talk some ball today?
Certainly are.
Okay, good. Well, we got a lot of great guests coming up today for the CFL fans. Everybody tuning in around the continent. I think the only place you're getting CFL coverage these days is right here, if you've noticed. And we will be talking a lot of NFL as well. You see, Dupes has his Titans gear on. Our Listen Live listeners wouldn't know that, so I'm telling you. But we've got Ben Cahoon coming in today. One-time CFL receiving king, Montreal Alouettes great Ben Cahoon will be joining us. I'm not even sure from where. I assume he's in Utah. We'll find out when he joins us. Jermaine Robinson, veteran CFL defensive back, and BC Lions receiver Lamar Durant. He'll be checking in from the West Coast live today. And our director of scouting, Craig Smith, who is here on the sponsors couch as well. I found 10 topics, guys. Okay. 10 topics to get into today. Lynch, don't jump right into them immediately. I'm just going to name them off here, okay? One, the Dallas Cowboys have fired head coach Jason Garrett. Last I've seen, they haven't officially announced it. Ed Werder of ESPN broke the news last night. What do you got, Lynch? I told you not to jump in, but I see that you...
Hooray, I think it's great.
Okay, great. Well, as they do things in Dallas, they're not saying they're firing him. They're saying he's no longer part of the organization.
Yeah.
That's how they word things there with members of the family. So that's one. Number two, Cleveland Browns are hiring their head coach before they hire their general manager. Jimmy Haslam, the owner, yesterday explained that to the media, and he really looked befuddled and bewildered. Didn't he, John?
Oh, he sure did. He's owned that team since 2012. They haven't done a damn thing. I mean, it's crazy. They're ridiculous. And he's on every year apologizing. And that's right. He looks befuddled and confused. And this is ridiculous. Hiring the coach first, the GM afterwards. We did it in Ottawa. In Regina, we did it too.
We'll get into that. Point 3 is related to that. The Montreal Alouettes have capped, we're told, the GM salary at $250,000. And they've already hired their head coach in Kahari Jones. It's a very similar situation, but my thinking is the next GM of the Cleveland Browns will make a lot more than the GM of the Montreal Alouettes, capped at $250,000. Which, by the way, you're not going to get any sympathy from CFL fans. While the football types are saying this is a joke, 250,000 fans, that's exponentially more than the people buying the tickets. So you're just not going to get sympathy from the fans. And I don't blame them. Point 4, where does Chris Jones land? It's been 6 days since he was let go by the Cleveland Browns. We'll see if Craig Smith and Frenzy have any info on that. Point 5, kind of a fun one. Where does Duron Carter go? And I point to that point because in Edmonton yesterday, when we got the talk going of the Eskimos with Jason Greger from TSN Edmonton, lady tweeted me last night saying, I believe her name was Melissa, Eskimos fan, she'd like to see the Eskimos sign Duron Carter. And by the time he's done, he might be the next Kevin Glenn, playing for every CFL team. A big topic is number 6. It will lead to our daily poll for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center, and that is letting CFL players out of their contracts. It's happening a lot. You see the Blue Bombers letting Marcus Sales out of their deal. The Calgary Stampeders letting Reggie Begelton out of his deal early. But as far as we know, and we talked about this in our morning meeting, these are guys that are going to be free agents in February anyway, so they're just releasing them a couple months ahead of time. Whereas Trey Roberson's gone on a Twitter, what would you call it, tirade.
Yeah, for a while.
Wants out of his deal now because 10 NFL teams at least want him. Problem is he signed a 3-year extension last year. Should CFL players be allowed out of their deals to go to the NFL? That will be a topic. Craig Smith already shaking his head. No. Says no. I might be inclined to disagree. Point 7, Derek Moncrief working out with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week. I just want to talk about that and where we think he may land. NFL wildcard playoff weekend, point 8, Saturday, Buffalo at Houston. Then the marquee game, Dupes Titans at the New England Patriots. The Patriots, the favored team of our sales manager, Tyler Gross. Have you guys settled on a bet yet?
We have not. Where is it?
What's it going to be?
Got to find something. I don't know what it's going to be.
You got
and it's
until-
got to be more than just like making me wear Patriots gear, making them wear. Because that's nothing.
No, I'd settle for that. It's fairly humiliating when you have to wear your opposition team's gear. Right, Smitty? Yeah. Moving on.
That'd be the worst.
We'll do the talking. You do the selling. Sunday, Minnesota at New Orleans, and then Seattle at Philly. Point 9, the Oilers getting hosed in overtime at Buffalo last night. And point 10, Adam Brooks' first NHL point last night came in the Leafs 6-3 win over the Winnipeg Jets. I saw Sarah Orlesky tweeting last night, you better switch over to this game. It's 4-3 Leafs after 2. I'm like, watching the Oilers. Hello. Not switching over. But very typical Adam Brooks style. Working in the corners, digging the puck out for the Stars.
Stripped it right away from the goaltender. He got his first NHL point. That's cool. It was really neat to see. It really was, and it was cool to see that our friends at the Pats made it there to watch the game. Phil Andrews and John Paddock. So that was kind of cool. I saw that on social media. So yeah, congratulations to Adam Brooks on that. And it was
the announcers made many times reference to the fact that he's a ex-Pat.
You were watching TSN 3 last night, weren't you?
Yep.
The tandem of Brian Munns, our good friend, and Kevin Sawyer.
Right.
Biggie Munns, as you call him. And we agreed he sounded fantastic on the broadcast with TSN 3. So I thought you'd revel a little more in the Leafs spanking the Jets. Is that it? We're moving on?
I like Smitty.
On to Cincinnati.
He's wearing the hat, that's enough for me. Yeah.
You're good. Okay.
Good.
On to Dallas. I don't know how or why. I guess this is the way the sports world is now. Ed Werder had the exact conversation that Jason Garrett and Jerry Jones had yesterday. How the hell do these guys get this stuff, the reporters? Do you know, Smitty? I've never known how the insiders get. How would you know? It's supposed to be a two-person meeting.
You would think.
Either Jerry's telling Ed Werder or Jason Garrett, and I kind of don't think Jason Garrett's telling him. And what it was you didn't give me a contract extension going into 2019. I would have liked to have called the plays myself and had some control over this offense, but you wouldn't let me do it. Kellen Moore called the offensive plays. We had a terrible season. You owe me another year. This supposedly is what Jason Garrett told Jerry Jones, and Jerry said, no.
I don't know you anything.
You're out of here. So what do you think about that?
I don't know. I don't like.
It's not your team. So.
It's not your team. It's not my team. But in terms of, Jerry's got the right to do whatever he wants to do. And, Jason Garrett's had enough time. He has called the plays before, has he not, for that team? So
Garrett?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's had that opportunity. They took it away from him. So I don't know how you go back on that. But, yeah, it's tough. It's time for it to be over. It's time for them to move on. And that's it.
He got more time than he deserved. Eh? He could have been fired.
Way more time
for a couple of years ago. The fans in Dallas are upset. They couldn't keep him on board. If the fans would really get mad at Jones for the first time.
It's been enough. Enough.
Jones has looked to perceive a winner, a sharp guy who does the right things to win, and keeping this guy around. Is he his brother or something? He keeps having lunch.
Well, they've referred to him as family.
Yeah.
And they're acting. I just got a notification from The Athletic. Why have the Cowboys not officially fired Garrett yet? They haven't done it. I don't understand it. How does Ed Werder know before anybody else?
Yeah, but
somebody leaked it.
Jason Garrett leaves that meeting. He's not telling anybody. He's going to tell people what happened. His closest people. He's not going to go broadcast it. And Jerry Jones too, right? He's going to let his inner circle know. But somebody's cracked the inner circle on one of these two camps.
Right.
Clearly, he has. Right.
The thing is, who will they bring in as head coach?
Mike McCarthy.
Right.
That's the word.
Couldn't agree with you more. Mike McCarthy, right on.
This is the way I kind of like it. We're sitting here just talking amongst the three of us. We forget the world's peering in. And Dale Wagner writes this. He's a good Rider fan, a good Rush fan. He says, is it concerning to you, gents, that the Riders have not announced the rest of this year's coaching staff? Curious. No, not concerning to me at all, because they may be waiting for other coaches to come free. They're going to have a quality staff. So what are you worried about? I mean, Chris Jones, if you think he might be the best defensive coordinator in the CFL, what if you'd named your staff a month ago? If you're Scott Milanovich or if you're the BC Lions.
Yeah.
What's the rush? Like, everybody was worried in Edmonton that, Ottawa got Paul LaPolice. BC got Rick Campbell. Well, they ended up getting Scott Milanovich. I'm not saying he's the best of the bunch, but he's pretty damn good.
Yeah, you're pretty happy.
They will do it in their time.
Milanovich will have a good staff.
Absolutely.
And part of it is rounding out the staff with certain position coaches, and you're probably not going to make an announcement on your entire staff until it's finished, right? You'll maybe announce your coordinators being signed, but you're not going to announce the entire staff until it's done. And so if you're just waiting on a running backs coach or a receivers coach or a position coach, then it's not quite that big of a deal. It's not like the team is sitting there letting every good coach go off the board before getting that done.
It's interesting that Dale would write in and say, aren't you concerned the Riders haven't announced their coaching staff? It is the last thing that I thought of. And secondly, so what? Dickinson didn't get the job until January 31st last year. Had a couple weeks to put together a staff. Wasn't a big deal. I don't think it's a concern right now.
I'm sure he'll put together a top-notch staff. He's got a lot of connections. They know he's a winner. They know it's great playing football in Saskatchewan. We're 13-5 last year in first place. We're going for the Grey Cup this year. It's in Regina. Great setup. Great place to coach.
And a great place to play. I mean, Dickinson's got a tremendous reputation. So, Dale, don't be concerned about that at all. If I had to sit back and think about why is it taking so long, I don't know. But maybe they didn't want to work through the holidays. That is a thing. If you've noticed, not much coming out in CFL news in the last week to 10 days, has there been?
No.
Hardly any. Aside from what we should spend more time on, and that is, should CFL players be allowed out of their contracts to go to the NFL? I feel like this is going to be a hot-button topic throughout the rest of this program today. Craig Smith is a personnel guy over there, and I didn't even get it out of my mouth, and our director of scouting is like, nope, shouldn't be allowed out. This whole argument, particularly when it comes to CFL, it's sports-wide, but just as a guy that's been in the CFL for a long time, it reminds me of that cartoon where there's a 6 painted on the floor, and there's a guy standing on each end of it. And the guy's like, that's a 6. And the guy on the other side's like, no, that's a 9. Depends where you're standing, what it looks like, right? Now, I am of the belief, look, you're going to sign Jeremiah Masoli to a 1-year deal in Hamilton, which they did this week. What's the difference of letting guys out of contracts? Before long, they're all going to be 1-year contracts. So if the American players find the CFL as the best road to get to the NFL, let them out of their deals because you're going to get better players, especially with the competition of the XFL opening up now. Now, our friend Chad Isaacs come into the studio. We had to watch the program. He brought some gifts, by the way. Calgary Flames gear. I said, what'd you think? We're trying to start a fire here? Get the fireplace going? Thanks, Chad. He knows. He loves it. He doesn't think the XFL is going to last. And frankly, I'm of the opinion, why would we think it would last? I thought the Alliance was going to last, and it didn't even get a whole season.
I know.
So, no, CFL doesn't need to act out of fear because of these other leagues, and there's no European League anymore either. But I just think you're giving the players 1-year contracts anyways. Why not let them out of their deals? In the case of a Trey Roberson, I see Dave Dickinson's very worked up about this, saying they can't let the players out. I'm like, really, Dave? Well, when you're a player, you didn't seem to think that way. When you went to San Diego, what do you guys think?
Same deal. It's tough because personally, I want to see less and less 1-year deals for the players because I want some continuity. I don't want to see players moving around every single offseason and rosters turning over 50, 60, 75%.
That ship has left the harbor, my friend.
But that's tough, right? And you want, if you can get longer deals, you're going to have a little more job security for the players. You get more continuity with the fan base. And I think it's better for the game. It's something we have to take baby steps towards building back in the game, some continuity and some of that job security. But if you're going to have it that way, you can't be let out of your deals every year either. Right?
Lynch?
Bounce around.
Well, I talked to a very prominent general manager, who we all know right here, been in Regina, you know who I'm talking to, and he said it's great having that 1-year contract. They can come, sign a 1-year contract and go. And the reason is, when you're recruiting, you say, look, you don't have to sign for 3 or 4 years. We'll go 1 year. Come up here and play for 1 year. Have a good year. Then you can do what you want. At the end of the year, or March of next year, you can decide where you want to go. Regina, where you can stay here, or go to the NFL. See where you get, what kind of offers you get. And you're not tied down. And he said it'll be a big selling feature to have that 1-year contract. I don't agree with it. I'm with you. They should have for continuity they want it. But I don't think it's going to happen.
See, I like that. I don't mind that. Like, I like that you're selling it to the players, but it's a very small number of players that are having that opportunity to go down to the NFL.
It happens to be your best players.
But, it comes back to that NFL window issue. And if you sign a 3-year deal, I really believe the players should have that opportunity to go to the NFL. I talk a lot, it's about self-awareness, right? The CFL's got to be self-aware that it's a stepping stone to the NFL. And if it can really brand itself as that, and you start to build that amongst the players, it'll be a really favorable destination they'll be talking about in colleges. But when you have a 3-year deal, I think you should be allowed to go, but your CFL rights should still be protected for the length of the
Okay, so you really want to start a brush fire here, and this is the last point of the warm-up for Flooring Superstores. You let Chris Jones out of his deal to go to the NFL. Why won't you let players out of their deals to go to the NFL?
Good point. That's right.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That's the point. Here's a negative. Exactly that. If you do sign a guy for a 2 or 3 year contract, and after the first year he wants out, you can't go doing that because you'll be doing it for all the players. You'll have complete turnover of the imports every year, which will be a fiasco.
But it's a organization by organization situation. And if it's Jeremy O'Day, or if it's Craig Reynolds, or if it's Craig Dickinson, whoever's allowing the player out of the deal, they're setting that precedent. So maybe some of those high-end players will want to come to Saskatchewan because they know they treat the players right and have the players' best interests in mind. Same thing with coaches, right, that are allowed. Chris Jones allowed out of his deal to go to the NFL. He might think more favorably about coming back here.
I'm going to have to be convinced. Craig Smith is going to have to give me a reason why they shouldn't let the players out. Because, to be honest, on one side, I say I'm with Dickinson and Craig Smith, Dave, that is, that you shouldn't allow them out. On the other, what I just said, you let Chris Jones out. And, sorry for sounding like a snowflake, but it's not fair.
That's right. And
unfortunately, life's not fair.
Okay, one thing, though.
John, stop talking. We're going to a break. I'm sorry, but please. This has been the Rollout for Flooring Superstores. I'll be tweeting the poll in this break. Should the CFL allow contracted players out of their deals to sign in the NFL? That's for Capital Auto Mall, Universal Collision Center. We'll be right back. You're watching Football Friday on The Rod Pedersen Show on Facebook Live and listen live at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen on demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.